Yahuwah family, just say that he has made me glad and rejoice in Psalm 118, verse 24. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. So I've been seeing, I don't know how many headlines, so many brothers and sisters sending me so many headlines about tsunami this and tsunami that and earthquake this, and tsunami that's going to be triggered after an earthquake. And we've been hearing about California for all these years, and many people with decades before I was probably even alive have been talking about California and the earthquake. Alright, I'm here to report that, as you know, last May, when I was still on my other page, like 2 pages ago before they banned my last 2 pages, I was talking about how scientists are talking about how there's going to be a 1,000-foot mega tsunami, alright? And now scientists are talking about Japan is militarily arming itself for whatever reason. I didn't get to look at that headline, but that they were that there was also a big chance of an earthquake and then a tsunami after that, following and hitting Japan. And with all these tsunamis popping up everywhere, what Abba really dropped in my spirit, I feel like, is that these tsunamis could be the tsunamis of Revelation 12. Now, what do I mean by that? I feel as though, right, when it's talking about the flood that sent after us to try to stop us from going to wilderness, that could be literal, okay? That could be very literal. And I feel like what he's putting on my spirit to say is that they're going to try to trigger all these tsunamis and floods possibly just to literally to try to stop us from going to the wilderness, fulfilling Revelation 12. And so what you need to understand is that's not supposed to scare you, but to be a vessel to prepare your mind, heart, and soul. What was one of the greatest miracles during the first Exodus? It was Moses given the power by Yahuwah to split the Red Sea. Isaiah 43 said that when we go to the Exodus, that the waters wouldn't overflow us. The rivers, they wouldn't hurt us, and the water wouldn't overflow us. Okay, and that the flames should not scorch us. And then verse 4 that he was going to hold the whole world ransom for us. This is why the Bible says in Jeremiah chapter 30, verses 7 through 11, that he's going to save, that we're going to be saved out of Jacob's trouble. Verse 7, but how is he going to save us? Verse 10, by saving our seed from the land of our captivity. And then, or that's verse 10, but verse 11, he said that, although I make an end of all the nations where I've scattered you, I will not make a complete end of you. So he's going to be holding these nations ransom. He's going to be making a full end of them at some point during all this. I don't understand the complete contextual timeline of all verse 11 and how that takes place yet, but I will hopefully one day, right? So with that being said, going back to the water now, Jeremiah, it's for the mothers, the lame and the blind. Well, how do they get to the Exodus, right? Okay. Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 7 through 9, he says that they will go through waters, and that Yahuwah will be like a father to him and make the river straight. You know what I mean? Like he says he's literally going to protect us from the waters. There's so many symbolism. How's the devil going to try to stop us from getting to the Exodus if you take Revelation 12 literally for every word it says with the flood, and not just as a metaphor? It literally says that he's going to stop us with a flood, which is weather control, I believe, truly. So even in Messiah's day, they never say who sent the storm. When people are walking on the ocean, think about it like this, right? He was looking at the raging storm around him. Messiah said to keep focus on him. So no matter what happens, to keep focus on the Most High. Stephen Darby, I remember, used to teach. He said, "Who sent the storm?" And I think he taught that the devil sent the storm. So I mean, if that is true, there's truly nothing new under the sun. With that being said, I hope that this is a confirmation for many of you. Hold on, cling tight to the Most High Yahuwah. As these blackouts and things begin to happen right now, I believe we're experiencing a whiteout before the blackout. What do you mean, Zil? Okay, I'll tell you what I mean. So right now, I've been seeing headlines about a whiteout. Snow everywhere, a whiteout. And these Masons love to play on this checkerboard. This is what they do. You know what I mean? So what more fitting to follow a whiteout, right, with all the snow everywhere, than a blackout? So fulfilling their Masonic itch that they have for whatever reason, okay? So again, I'm not telling you things that scare you, but to invest, prepare your mind, heart, soul. This is what you need to understand. Hear this and hear this clearly. There's not going to be many more messages like this. Not because the Most High is not going to protect me, and not because I'm getting off YouTube necessarily, okay? There's not going to be many more messages like this compared to how many messages there have been in the past, because we are getting close to that time. We are getting close to the time where the brother Daniel likes to say, and I love it when he says this, but literally the time for saving people, you know what I mean? Like going out in a vast majority and really putting yourself out there, that time is almost really over. And now I'm not saying not to stop going hard, but go hard for the right people. Okay? What do I mean by that? What I mean is that 95 to 98% of the people that are already in the ark, that are already in the that are already sealed, not already sealed, but that are already in the ark, as in the days of Noah, literally. Okay, and there's a few stragglers that are going to come in.
The speed limit is 35 miles per hour.
And there's a few stragglers that are going to come in, and if you don't let your emotions play on you, and you genuinely ask the Father who they are, you're going to know, because we have little time left. He's speeding up the days, Baruch chapter 2 or 20 verse 2, right? Matthew, he said he's speeding up the days for our sake, and in Baruch, I believe it's because, the days of sin, I think time is, I don't know, I don't remember. I haven't studied that one enough to be able to recite it fully yet. That's another thing too, is, Zeal, how do you know so many scriptures? I promise, you ask people at work, I don't have photographic memory, or maybe I do for the word, but I don't believe that's what it is. It's because I've studied, I've watched Truth and Edited, and people present the scripture, then I go back and study it and read it over and over, and then I make videos about it, which make me have to recite it, and then I type it on the screen. So I promise that I don't think I have photographic memory, as some of you like to say, but anybody can do this. 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved. But going back to the main point, begin to focus on, notice how Messiah didn't focus on the religious people. Like, he wasn't going to religious people, like, begging them. Of course, he offered salvation to everyone in all nations. So much so that, according to Ezekiel 47:21 through 23, whatever tribe the Gentiles dwell with, or people they dwell with, they'll become a part of that tribe and have the same inheritance as them, to all you Hebrew Israelites out there. But, again, Ezekiel 47, verse 21 through 23. But what you really need to begin to understand is to focus on the remnant of people, encouraging the body, because, we have Most High Messiah, so don't misunderstand me when I say this, but we are all we have, okay? So if you understand the context of what I'm saying that in, we are the family we have, and the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, okay? So understand, this is why I feel so much closer to you guys. I have a sister that says this all the time, but this is why I feel so much closer. I feel so much closer to you guys than I do my own family, because again, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, okay? And so what you need to begin to understand is to just focus on your brothers and sisters, and focus on the stragglers coming in, man, because there's not a lot of time left, and you don't need to be wasting it on the religious folk and the people that aren't going to listen anyway. Well, how do I know which religious folk and all these other people won't listen anyway? Again, or will listen. Again, you will know the stragglers if you listen to your spirit. It's only when you let your emotions get involved, especially with friends and family, when you fail to discern specific things and specific possible callings over your life and who you're called to. Well, how do I bring my emotions out of it? By submitting yourself and your thoughts to the Most High. 2 Corinthians 10 verse 4 through 6, casting down every imagination, bringing all thoughts into captivity. Well, how do I do that? By praying, by really bringing it to Him, going into the secret place like Messiah says in the gospel. Again, remember in Ephesians 6:12 that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against spirits and principalities. Okay, oftentimes the devil, when you're not in sin anymore, you get past the first stage, when you get out of willful sin. The second stage is now he stops calling you about sin a little bit, and the voice of the devil transforms 2 Corinthians 11:14 as an angel of light, and now all of a sudden it sounds like your mom. The voice of the devil sounds like your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your girlfriend, maybe even your wife or husband. I hope not, but it's the reality of it, okay? And then the third stage is then the devil tries to send a significant other into your life, okay? So just be watchful, be mindful, and be diligent. I love you, family. Our deliverance is almost here. Spread these messages far and wide as you feel led. Shalom.